Previously on Mysterious Twins Part 3.
Joy, it's been ages, I missed us.
This is a dream come true for me. Seeing you again is like life restored back to a lifeless being.
The Mysterious Twins Part 4. Jack woke up to find himself on the bed, with Joy lying down beside him. He quickly woke her up, and inquired to know how it happened. Joy smiled excitedly, as she said, "I needed to prove to you how much I have missed us. Jack, you must divorce that dwarf and allow me into your life again. We are the perfect match, or didn't you miss me?" Jack said, "You shouldn't have done this. I thought we agreed to put the past behind us. There is no doubt you are a wonderful person, but I'm now a married man, and cheating on my wife is one thing I don't want to do." As he was talking to her, he got a message from Sasa that read, "I have called you severally. I hope you are good." Jack said, "It's already 3 a.m. I can't go home until it's morning, and what would I tell my wife? This is the first time I'm sleeping out." Joy dragged him back to bed as she said, "You're not cheating on your wife. You're only reuniting with your soulmate, and I will surely take my place back. It must be me and you, or nothing." Jack shook his head as he said, "There is no more us, Joy. The earlier you accept this as reality, the better for you."
At the hospital.
As Sasa resumed duty, she went straight to JJ's ward to check on him, and she noticed that he wasn't breathing anymore. She was so scared that she shouted Jesus. Nurse Loveth, that was staying with JJ, rushed out to invite Dr. Hakim. Dr. Hakim checked on JJ, and it was discovered that the control of the oxygen that was connected to him was turned off shortly before Sasa came in. Dr. Hakim immediately switched it on, and a few minutes after that, JJ's breath was restored. Dr. Hakim asked Nurse Loveth, that was staying with JJ, if any other person came into the place, and the nurse couldn't provide an answer to that because she was also busy with other patients. Sasa became worried as she wasn't sure of her son's safety. Dr. Hakim asked her to come to the office for better discussion. Sasa told Dr. Hakim how she found tomato sauce in his son's food flask, which wasn't what she cooked for him, and also how the test result proved that my son had excess tomato intake in his system, which showed that he's been eating it for a while now. And the question is, who had been feeding him with such? It's so obvious that someone wants my child dead, and the who is what I don't know. Dr. Hakim responded to her saying, "Who would have switched off the oxygen, knowing fully well that he needs that to survive? Thank God we got there on time. We would have lost him. I would do my best to make sure that JJ is fine," he assured Sasa.
At Sasa's house.
Jack came in looking worried, not knowing that his in-laws were around. As he unlocked the door with his spare keys, he sat on the couch and he said, "Thank God I'm back home." Patricia and Zara came out from the guest room to welcome him. He welcomed them warmly and got up to move to his room. His phone rang. As he dipped his hand into his pocket to bring out his phone, a white clothing material dropped on the floor from his pocket. Zara rushed towards him to pick it up for him, and when she brought it up, she found out it was a female underwear. Jack collected it from her with the expression of surprise and embarrassment on his face as he left for his room. On getting to his room, he quickly called Joy and expressed his displeasure angrily. Joy responded saying, "I owe you no apology because you are mine, and I will surely take back what belonged to me." Jack ended the call on her as he said, "What would I tell my in-laws? Where would I say I got the underwear from?"
At Bobby's house.
Bobby, Sassie's father, called his wife Patricia to check on JJ, and Patricia told him all that had happened to Sasa and her family. She explained how tomato was found in JJ's food flask, which wasn't the food that was given to him to school. Bobby was surprised as he said, "We need to interrogate the teachers. They must provide an explanation for that." Patricia responded saying, "Yes, of course. His class teacher and class assistant must be held responsible for this." Jack was coming out from his room to explain the female underwear issues to his in-laws. When he overheard Patricia's conversation with her husband, he interrupted their conversation saying, "Sasa was the one who fed JJ with tomato sauce. She's the one that put JJ, our son, in that condition. I'm still waiting to know her behind-the-scene plan." Patricia ended her call with Bobby as she said, "I would call you later." Jack continued talking to Patricia as he explained the pain JJ went through before he became unconscious. He said, "I won't take it lightly with Sasa if anything happened to my child," as he walked out on Patricia. Patricia was surprised at the sudden change in his attitude, and she was feeling sorry for Sasa.
At the prison,
One of the prison officials brought a cell phone to Mrs. Tawler, telling her that she had a call. Mrs. Tawler was on the call for about 10 minutes laughing without altering a word, and she later responded to the caller saying, "As planned." She then ended the call. She handed the phone back to the official. She said, "My daughter will credit your account."
at the hospital,
Nurse Loveth rushed out of JJ's ward, shouting for help, as she ran to Dr. Hakeem's office to inform him of what she saw as he resumed duty that morning. Dr. Hakeem and Nurse Loveth were running to JJ's ward, and on getting there they met him stabbed on the chest. The doctor quickly informed the security guys about it, and 2 of them came to see the scene, and they also video it. Nurse Loveth was already crying, regretting not staying with JJ at night. Sasa was called upon, and she immediately reported to the ward, and as she arrived she said, "I knew someone was after my son's life," and she started crying badly. All efforts to console her were abortive. She then said, how would she face her husband Jack? This may end her marriage as well. Dr. Hakeem put a call across to Jack and invited him to the hospital. Before his arrival, JJ was already packed to the muck. They explained what happened to him, and they also showed him the video. Jack was shocked and refused to say anything. Patricia and Zara also arrived later, and it was so obvious on their faces that they had been crying for a long time. Patricia was so depressed, and was acting as someone that is losing her mind, as she was asking everyone around to tell her who killed her first and only grandson. The hospital environment was very tense. They were all in a mourning mood for JJ. They felt sorry for Sasa, as they were discussing how sacrificially she's been working to save life since she assumed duty. One of the nurses said, while discussing with others, that, "Do you know, none of her patients are dead since she started working in this hospital. She's a professional to the core who has value for life."
at Bobby's house,
Kamsi, Bobby's younger sister, arrived at his house without any previous notice of her coming. Bobby was surprised to see her, and as she sat down, Bobby said he was the only one at home. He explained why Patricia and Zara had to stay with Sasa at this period of her trial. Before Bobby could conclude his saying, Kamsi said, "I was told what happened to her, and it was really a heartbroken one." She even told Bobby how Jack wasn't at peace with Sasa any longer because of the issue. Bobby was astonished to hear deep things about his daughter from his younger sister. He then asked Kamsi how she got to know all that, since she wasn't in talking terms with Sasa. Kamsi replied saying, "I am like wind that keeps in touch with everyone, with or without permission." Her talk was interrupted as Zara walked into the house. Bobby asked after her sister Sasa and her mother Patricia's well-being. Zara responded briefly by saying they were trying to adjust to the new development, which was gradually becoming their reality. She left them for her rooms, saying, "I came home to get some rest. Sasa's house is quite tense at this time." Joy's house. Joy was restless on her bed as she was rolling from one end to the other. She then murmured, "The best time to fight an enemy is when the enemy's strength is weak. Victory is sure when fresh attack is launched at the time enemy is still battling with emotional and mental health." She laughed scornfully as she said, "He who laughed last, laughed best." She picked up her diary as she said, "I must plan my moves because failure to plan is planning to fail. I can't afford to lose this battle. She then began to write. Her phone rang, and she picked it up as she said, I am on it already, just as we planned. As she ended that call, her phone rang again, and this time it was Jack calling. She was excited as she said, Hello my darling Jack. Are you missing me already? Your love intoxicates. Jack responded, I couldn't find my personal office key, which I showed you that day we were together. Joy replied, Are you in the office already? I'm sorry for the loss of your child. How did you know about it? Jack asked. She said, You are married to a public figure. Everyone knows dwarf Dr. Sasa, and JJ Demise's news is on air already. Jack said, I haven't been myself since then. In fact, I don't want to talk about it. I know it's painful, but you must move on with your beautiful life. Your office key is with me. You can come for it any time you need it, Joy responded, as they cut the call.
At Sasa's house.
Jack's mind was filled with Joy's thoughts. He remembered all her sacrifices for him when they were in school. The food, the money, the clothing she always made available for him. He said, I would have been long dead, if not for her. Her coming into my life saved me from asthmatic attack. I owe her my life. Sasa interrupted Jack's thoughts when she entered the room and asked, Do you still think I'm responsible for his demise? Jack responded, If you didn't feed him with tomato, he wouldn't have any reason to be admitted in the hospital, and he would still be alive by now. How could you have allowed such thoughts about me to run through your mind, Jack? You know how much I love JJ, and the extent I could go to save him from danger. So how possible you accused me of this? Sasa asked. I found the tomato sauce in his food flask, and you were the one that prepared his food that morning. Prove your innocence to me. Then I would believe you, Jack responded as he walked out on her. Sasa was so confused, depressed, angry, and was also lost in thought, meditating on the conversation she just had with Jack. Who fed my child with tomato, she murmured. Her phone rang, and she picked it up asking who's on the line. A voice answered saying, I know you are a strong woman. You have fought so many battles even from your childhood, and you won all of it. But this time you got no chance of winning. What you've seen so far is the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. Beware. Sasa was already shivering in fear hearing those words, and she asked again, Who is this, please? The call ended. Trying to check the number, she found out that the number was private. In fear she rushed to her mother Patricia, who was nursing the death of her grandson. She had been sick since JJ passed on, and she's been inside her room. She said, Mom, my wall is crumbling and my world is falling apart. I've been caught unaware and unprepared in a net of war by a great warrior. Like a fish that was caught in a net by the fisherman. Mom, you have been my backbone. Would you allow me to be swallowed up like this? Patricia responded, My daughter Sasa, you were talking in parables, and you got me scared more. My strength was becoming weak since the demise of my grandson. I couldn't stop imagining how painful JJ breathed his last breath. I wish I could fight for him. I wish I could save him from danger. I failed my first grandson, Sasa. I failed him. Sasa told her mom the call she just received and said, Mom, think the person wants me dead. We have lost JJ to them. Am I the next in line? Patricia jumped up from the bed as she said, God forbid. I would fight for you with my last breath. What's all these? Who's fighting us? At Bobby's house. Kamzi and Zara were having a nice time together, and they were so entangled with each other that they had so much fun. They were becoming inseparable, and Bobby was becoming inquisitive about their relationship. One day Bobby overheard Kamzi's conversation while receiving a phone call when she said, Everything is going the way it was planned, so be calming down. We are almost there. The statement kept on ringing in Bobby's mind even when he consciously shut down the thought of it. 2 days later, he was thirsty and he decided to get a glass of water by himself. As he was approaching the kitchen, he heard Kamzi and Zara discussing about their new move. Kamzi said to Zara, "The move is being perfect so far, but we are at the peak of it already, and we can't afford to make any mistakes." The conversation was interrupted when they perceived that the rice they were cooking had started burning. Kamzi instructed Zara to check on the rice. Bobby walked in towards the fridge to get a glass of water, while Kamzi rushed to help him out. Bobby went back to his room, thinking about the duo. Are no more comfortable about their relationship, or am I insinuating wrongly? Bobby murmured. At the prison. One of the prison officials was having pleasant conversations with Mrs. Tawler. He said, "The payment alert I got from your daughter was alarming. Thanks so much, Ma, for your generosity. I would put more effort in making sure that you are comfortable here. Don't hesitate to call me whenever you need me. I'm grateful, Ma." Mrs. Tawler responded, "Expect to get more of that. You're making my staying here so exciting. Thanks so much for all you do. I'm expecting my next phone call by 9 p.m. Please don't keep me waiting." The official left her smiling, while Mrs. Tawler said, "He's such a nice guy."
At Joy's house.
Jack was at the door knocking while Joy said, "My darling Jack, please wait. I'm coming." Jack was there for about 10 minutes before Joy opened the door. Jack said he's not coming inside. He then demanded for his office key. Joy responded, "That would be the best joke of the year. How can you refuse entering my house? Is this how we are putting the past behind us?" Jack said, "I'm not in the mood for any conversation right now. I'm actually dealing with depression." Joy replied, "Depression can't be solved by its victim. You sure need help to overcome it. Remember how I used to bring you out of such when we were in school?" She held his hand gently as she led him into the sitting room. As soon as Jack sat on the couch, she slept off. Joy laughed scornfully as she said, "You are mine, and I won't let you go this time."
At the hospital.
The management of International Hospital had engaged the service of the police to investigate the death of JJ. The public reactions on air was not palatable, and they demanded to know who stabbed JJ. They said, if the doctor's son could be stabbed dead in a private ward, how would they protect people's life in the general ward? The police had been on the matter since the day it happened, and they have been working tirelessly. They also came to the hospital to get recordings of the CCTV camera. The police were so excited when they see that the camera captured the killer.
To be continued. Watch out for Mysterious Twins Part 5. Thank you for watching.
I love you all.